Hi, this is Kate from Reading in Pajamas, and I am here to go over my 2026 reading plans, some of the challenges I've entered, and my January TBR. I know that we are over halfway through January. We're actually nearing February, and I should be planning for that. But as I've just started the channel, I wanted to go over a few of the kind of reading challenges, not in depth for any of them, that I am in, and that, sorry, I'm gonna turn my computer volume down because those Discord alerts will keep popping up. Not in depth. I will go and make separate videos in the upcoming weeks that will go more in depth into some of the more involved reading challenges that I am participating in. But for this one, I wanted to share some of the challenges that I'm in and how my January TBR and how that relates, because I picked my January TBR based off of the reading challenges. So different challenges have different goals. Some are more involved than others. So without further ado, we're actually going to start with my January TBR. So I'll put that up here. So any books that have an icon on them mean that they are not yet read. I've also got the transparency on those books turned down to either 50 or 75%. 50%. And then once I read the books, I turn it all the way up and I give it a star rating. And that's just how I'm kind of keeping track. Excuse me, George, no. If books have green headphones, that means they're on, they're available to me on Libby. So I borrowed the audiobook from the library system. I am in two different library systems, my local one, and then I had my grandpa get a library card so I could use his library as well. Stop it. Sorry, the dogs are rumbling. They're not quite used to Mom being home yet. I've only been home for about half an hour. Anyway, if they have a clock icon also, so those will only be the ones that have green headphones. If they also have a clock icon, that means I'm waiting for it to become available. So I'm on the hold list. So I have two books right now that are on the hold list. I think actually the Zodiac Academy one just became available. It is a dramatized audio, and I'm not usually a fan of the dramatized audio, but I didn't want to use another one of my Audible credits. I only have one more left for this month, and so I wanted to listen to the first book. I've not read Zodiac Academy before. I have the first book on Audible. I get 2 credits a month on Audible, and I have the first book. I get a lot of books when there's buy 2 for 1 credit sales, or when books are on sale. I'll like below $10, I'll pick up some. So green headphones are Libby library books. Yellow headphones are Audible books. So they're ones that I have in my Audible library. So you can see quite a few are actually available to me on Audible. I generally prioritize the library books before the Audible books just because the time frame for listening to them is not as there, right? I also have 2 books. If they are the pink book that you're looking at, I have physical copies of those books. So Dungeon Crawler Carl I have a physical copy of, and Kingmakers I also have a physical copy of. I do think that I have Dungeon Crawler Carl on Audible. No, sorry, on Libby. I think I have that. I'm not 100%, and my Libby app is on my phone, which I'm recording on, so I can't verify at this moment. But that's what that pink book icon means, is I need to physically read the book. Then you have the ebook symbol, and I have 2 of those. Accidentally Wed to a Werewolf and The Boss by Laurie Kent. And both of those are ones that they're actually both Kindle Unlimited books. And so, yeah, I need to read those. I am working on reading Accidentally Wed to a Werewolf right now. It's kind of my walking home book. I perhaps dangerously read my Kindle while walking home, and I can usually get about 30 pages read on the walk home. So that's what I do, and I am working on Accidentally Wed to a Werewolf. I need that book for a couple challenges, and you'll see that shortly. After I finish that, I will read The Boss by Laurie Kent. It is the sequel to The Senator by Laurie Kent, which I gave a 5-star rating. Is it well written? Probably not. But it gives me the feels, right? You know, the feels that it feels good. And so I haven't read The Boss yet. It came out in October, I believe. And so I'm excited to read that. So with that said, let's go over the books really quick. The first book I read this year was Alchemized. I loved it. Like, oh my gosh, I wanted to immediately reread it. It's a 6-star read for me. I mean, I could only give it 5 stars, but it's a 6-star read, right? I've not read the fan fiction that it's based off of. Perhaps I'll go look up Manacled. But I'm not a Draco Hermione fangirl, so I'm not as inclined, and that's actually part of the reason why I didn't actually think that I would like this book. But I did. I loved it so much, and I went immediately to go get the limited edition Barnes and Nobles, and they had just sold out of it, and I'm not able to find it anymore, so that's really disappointing. I'm hoping that more will come in stock, but I really don't know. I also read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. That was only a 3-star for me. Actually, in my head, I keep thinking I gave it a 2-star. It was good, but the problem is there's so much science in it, and I am not a science person. Science was always my worst subject at school. And a lot of what they were explaining and talking about just went right over my head. So that was very difficult. No. The Senator, it's a mafia romance book, and this like mafia princess basically is wed to a senator who's not a part of the mafia, but it's an arranged marriage, and I love arranged marriage stories. And so it's just kind of their romance and falling in love and all that kind of stuff, and I loved it. And so I'm excited to read The Boss, which I believe is an Italian mafia princess. Obviously not real princesses, but like princess in the mafia sense. Okay. So that's her story, and it's the best friend of the Spanish mafia princess persons. Okay. Then I read The Prisoner's Throne, which I think is the last book I had in the whole universe of whatever book this is the universe of. It's Holly Black's series. Anyways, I did not like this duology at all. I gave it a 2-star. It isn't for me. My next two books that I have on here that I read is Crouching Buzzard, Leaping Loon, as well as We'll Always Have Parrots by Donna Andrews. Both of these are cozy mysteries, and I listen to them while making my Canva spreadsheets. So they were kind of like, cozy is something that's very easy to multitask to. So, next on this list is Binding 13, which actually I finished last night. I finished it at like 12:30 a.m. and I forgot, because this is a reread for me, I forgot about how necessary it was to immediately start keeping 13. And so I was up till like 3 a.m., 3:30 when I had to wake up at 6:30. So I barely slept last night, but these books are so good. If you have not read Binding 13 and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh, sorry, talking too much makes me cough. Anyways, 10 out of 10 recommend. Possibly my new favorite books. I love them so much. I have here with me Keeping 13. I already put Binding away. And I wasn't even crafting while listening to this book. I was literally following along in the text as the Audible read, and I was just like, oh, I need to have highlighters and markers with me. And I'm not a girl who typically annotates at all. But these books make me want to just highlight and draw hearts and all the things. And I swear, one time, maybe during like a spring break or summer break, I am just going to do that with these books. But I love them so much. I love Johnny and Shannon's story, their love story, but also their life story. And it's a coming of age, basically, coming of age romance. And it's just beautiful and tragic and beautiful again. And it makes me cry, like real tears. And I can't recommend it enough. Like, it is truly, it's so good. So good. If you haven't read it, I do recommend it. Just be prepared, especially in Keeping 13. Have those tissues ready. Next up on this list is Secret Lives of SARS. I needed a nonfiction book, and that's how this ended up here. It was readily available on Libby at the time. I'd been borrowing it for probably 2 or 3 years at that point, and so I was like, I'll just listen to it. And goes over, hang on, let me scroll closer over here. 3 centuries of autocracy, debauchery, betrayal, murder, and madness from Romanov Russia. And my issue with this book, and why I gave it 2 stars, is I think it could have benefited from being a more drawn out series. As much as nonfiction can be a series, 300 years, there was just too many of them. I kept getting confused who was getting talked about. Even though it went in a chronological order, it was still very confusing. And honestly, I would not call it Secret Lives, as I knew a great deal of the facts that was told about. And I don't know a lot of Russian history. So, I feel like if the author had been able to deep dive more into and flesh out the stories and actually maybe some of the secrets behind their debauchery and madness and all that, then it would have been a higher rating. The concept was really interesting. I'm not saying it wasn't researched or whatever. I just felt like it was very kind of superficial, and I didn't really find I learned much of anything. But it ticked a box for a challenge, and it finally got me to stop renewing that one from the library. Next up we have Lisa Unger's Confession on the 745. This is another one I had been renewing for quite some time, and I gave it a 4-star. I enjoyed it. It's been a while since I I think I've been renewing this since I went on a psychological thriller binger like 2 years ago. And it had been a while since I'd listened to a psychological thriller, and I think it just, like, it ticked a little box for me. Like, it was, interesting. Was it probably the best written psychological thriller ever? Probably not, but I did find it interesting. And I am interested in listening to more of Lisa Unger's books. So there is that. Then we have The Staircase in the Woods. I gave it 2 stars on this TBR page. In actuality, I rated it a 1.5. I did not like this book at all. And the only reason I read it is because at my school we have a teacher's book club, and it was the book for the month, and we all disliked it a lot. And so, yeah, I just felt it was trying too hard to be edgy. I did not like a single one of the characters, which made it hard to root for them in any kind of way. It was meant to be our thriller. Like, we spin a randomizer for a genre, and then we all enter books based off of the genre chosen. And the teacher that entered this book, she's not a big reader. She only reads the books for book club. And so she just goes off of a list, like a random list. She'll Google thriller books. Gracie, no. And that's what she'll enter for her book. And the last few, hers has been chosen the last few times, and they all sucked. None of us liked any of them. And that wasn't just me not liking them. None of us liked any of them. And so this was another disappointment. And then it was also extra disappointing because book club met on last Friday, and I was out sick, so I didn't even get to talk about how much I disliked it. But we have our book for next month, and I will talk about that in February's TBR when I get to that. But that's another video for another time. I read Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I gave it a 5-star. I saw a lot of videos that talked about how this book was a disappointment to them, and that it was hyped up to be so good, and then it ended up being meh, or like a 2-star for them. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I can't talk a lot about it because I forget plots and character names so quickly. And truthfully, even though I just finished this within the last week, I've forgotten all the character names. I have some vague idea of what happened in the books, but I know I really liked it. That's all I can say. And the final book that I've read this month, which is not the most recent, but that I have on this list, is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I have read this book and series before. The last time I read it, I rated it a 5-star, and I dropped it down to a 4, and I'm not entirely positive why I did that, but I mean, it's funny. I like it. And it was something I was familiar with, so it filled a place in a challenge, excuse me, and that's what I needed at that moment. And also, it was like very short. It's barely over 200 pages. So, those are the books I've read so far. Look, quickly we'll go over the books that are still on my TBR. There's only 11 days left in this month, so there's no way I'm going to make it through this entire TBR, but we're going to see how close I can get. So, I started off with 27 books. I've read 12. That leaves 15 left. So I have Frida McFadden's The Crash. The main reason this is on my list is because I have a Goodreads challenge, which is not on this Canva. spreadsheet at all. For years, the challenge prompt that I've needed to fulfill that I haven't, and I need to in order to progress with this challenge. I think it's a Scooby-Doo challenge or something like that. Yeah, Scooby-Doo Hunt for the Mystery. Anyways, the challenge has been to read a book with the word crash in the title. And I finally was just like, I am going to search for a book with crash in the title. And there was Freida McFadden's The Crash. I've only read one or two other Freida McFadden books. I read The Housemaid. I read that last year. It was okay. But yeah, we'll see. Anyways, next up is Accidentally Wed to a Werewolf. I am at 11% on the ebook for that right now. And we will see how, I don't like werewolves. I really dislike werewolves. And so this one has been a struggle so far. Right now where I'm at, they're talking about the pack and blah, blah, blah. And I just don't like the pack. I don't like packs. So I say as my dogs are a pack. They're total pack mentality. Anyways, next up we have Dungeon Crawler Carl. This might be the book that doesn't make it this month, in part because I knocked out a few books in a few challenges and replaced it with Keeping 13. Because after I finished Binding 13, I had to do Keeping 13, even though I've already read them. And I thought when I started Binding 13, I was like, it's fine. It's fine. You can just pick up Keeping 13 in February. I forgot what a cliffhanger Binding ended on. Really, it should be one massive epic book. Yes, I know that would be well over 1,000 pages, but if you're going to read the books, prepare yourself that you will need to read them back to back. You just will. I don't want to spoil anything, but you will. And so I removed last night. So if I had filmed this video yesterday, which I had kind of planned on doing, but then I got busy with other stuff, this TBR and challenges would look different, but I needed to fit Keeping 13 in. Next up we have Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. This is featured on several of my reading challenges, as you will see in a few minutes. I don't know anything about the book. I have it borrowed from the library, on audio. And, one of the challenges I'm in, it is the book for the month. So I really need to get this one done. Then we have Flowers in the Attic. I needed this one for a challenge. That's the only reason why it's here. And I am on the hold list for it, and I'm not positive it can come through before January ends. So, oh well. I have Anna Karenina on the list. This is probably another one that will not make it this month, but it is something I need for one or two challenges. So we will see, but it is a long one. So, yeah, I may swap it out for a shorter classic at some point, this in the next few days. Dan Brown's The Deception Point. I needed this one because I need a book set in the Arctic. And I know this isn't like predominantly set in the Arctic, but it's enough that I'm going to count it. So The Kingmakers. I really need to get going on this book. I have it right here. The physical book. I am only that far in. And unfortunately, I need to read this book like yesterday because I have a challenge that's like a daisy chain challenge. And this is the next book, and I have 3 more books I need to read in the month following this one. So I really need to get that done. And you'll see that in a minute. Next, I have The Boss. I don't remember what challenges I have this one connected to, so this may be one that gets pushed to next month. Then I have Catherine of Aragon, the True Queen. And I needed this for a book with Queen in the title. So then we have Alison Ware, and that's by Alison Ware. Then we have Alison Ware's The Innocent Traitor. That was her debut novel, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that is part of the daisy chain that I need to complete in that specific order. Then we have up Keeping 13. I'm trying to remember what book was in this spot yesterday that I removed to put Keeping 13 there. But yeah. Then we have the first 2 Zodiac Academy books. So those are both chunksters. And the final one is The Final Gambit, which is the 3rd book in the Inheritance Games series. So that one just became available at the library, so that's another one I swapped out for a different book to force in. Okay, so that's the TBR. Sorry, that was so long, but going through the challenges should be a little quicker. So the first challenge we'll talk about. I wish I was not sick when I started this channel. I'm so sorry. Okay, the first challenge is author ABC. So I have 2 ABC challenges. This one is the author one. I need to read at least 2 books a month to fit onto this challenge. Right now, I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So I'm good for this one for a few months. As I read books, I will continue to put them and fill them in. This is not a challenge we will talk about more than once a month when we do the TBR talk. Towards the end of the year, I will need to probably start to pick some specific books that will fit harder letters. Probably like Z, maybe Q. But right now, I'm not at that point, and I'm not worried about it, so that's all we're going to say about this one. The title ABC challenge, same thing. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books on here. So again, I'm good through March. Without putting a single other book on here, and I do anticipate putting more books on here. As I read, if they fit, I just slot them in. Again, by the end of the year, I'll probably be needing to work on that a little bit more. But we're not at that point yet. So then we will talk about my 26 and 26. I will make a separate video specifically going over each of these books. I do need to read 2 a month at least to finish this all in time. Oh, hazy canazy. Right now I've read 1 off of this list. And some of these are series, and I want to read the entire series. So some of them, it will be a little harder to get. It's not just to complete the challenge, it is 26. But my ultimate, like, hard level is to complete the series. So, for example, I do have Kingmakers on here. There are 5 books in that series. So I will check it off as having 1 complete when I read the first one, but to be hard level complete, I will need to read all 5. And I haven't yet made a way to track that. As another example, I do have Dan Brown's The Secret of Secrets. That is the most recent in that series, but before I read that book, I'm going to go through and read all the others. Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code, all those other ones, because it's been a while since I've read them. And even though you don't need to know anything about the plots from any of the previous ones, I do like to kind of know that. So that's my plan for this. Another challenge that I haven't made a Canvas spread, a Canva document for yet is I will be doing a challenge called 40 Before 40. Amanda from Reading and Writing, name of the channel is probably wrong, but I'll link her down below. She has a 50 Before 50 challenge. So she wants to complete 50 series before she turns 50, which is a couple years away, 1 or 2 years away. I am 37. I'll turn 38 in July. So I'm going to pick 40 series, some of which I'm caught up on at the moment, but I know there will be more releases in the year. Some of which will be new starts for me, like the Zodiac Academy series, and then some I'm just in the middle of. And I'm going to pick 40 of them and create a document, and my goal will be to be completely caught up with those series by the time I turn 40. And part of the reason for this is that there are a lot of cozy mystery series that I've started that at the time I was caught up on, and I forget to check up on them and look into them, and now I'm a few books behind. And so this is just a way to do that, and read some series. Some of the series I will be starting over from the beginning, like Brandon Sanderson's The Stormlight Archive. I haven't actually read the latest book, and even though that's one of my favorite book series, but I do want to start from book 1 again. And I don't know if I'm going to be crazy and just call the Cosmere one series of the 40 series, because that involves a lot of books. But I did find a list of the order you should read the Cosmere books in, and I kind of want to do that. So we will see. That may be like a bonus. Which might justify me putting on like the Domestic Diva, which is a cozy series I am definitely caught up on, but she releases a new book every year. And also, the Murder in an Irish Village series, which is my, all-time favorite cozy series. It's by Carleen O'Connor, and it's set in Ireland in a village, and I love that series so much. And every February there's a new book, and my mom and I both read them. And one time we were gonna listen to the audiobook together, and we had like not Irish soda bread, like Irish brown bread, and had like a little Irish situation going on as we listened to the Irish book, and it was so nice. But anyways, if you're looking for a cozy mystery series, 100% recommend looking up Carleen O'Connor. Those books are great. And the Domestic Diva series, Krista Davis, also 100% recommend. Love all of those characters. And so both of those will be on my 40 Before 40, even though I know right now I'm caught up. In a couple months I won't be, when the new book comes out, and then I will need to add that, obviously. So maybe making the Cosmere one situation would justify all of that. Because that's how I'm going to get some of those standalone Cosmere books into. Anyways, that will be a whole other video when we go over 40 Before 40, but look for that sometime in the future. Maybe around my 38th birthday, which is in July, so you got a while. I have to think about it. Like, I really have to put some thought into what 40 am I going to pick. I might go through and list like all the series and then figure out how many I have to eliminate. So yeah. So, and also there will be another video on 26 and 26, where I go further into it. Next, we have, the 2026 series challenge. do not remember who put this challenge out, and I am going to try to figure out and link everything down below. So even though this is Tuesday that I am recording this, Tuesday, January 20th, this probably will not go out until later in the week, probably Thursday or Friday. Just because editing and researching and linking is going to take me some time. But in this series, this challenge, I'm doing it a tiny bit different than how the challenge designer is doing it. So each month, so there's 36 boxes. And so your goal is to read 36 books for this challenge. There are 12 boxes that are, well, you're looking at the thing. I don't need to be showing with my hands. There are 12 boxes that have each of the months there. For my version, what I am going to do is choose one series and put that up there. Any extra books that I read in that series, not just in that month, but in the future months as well, will go down into the boxes below. So even though I've read from a bunch of series this month, the series I chose for this series challenge was the Meg Lanslow Cozy Mysteries, and I've only read 2 of those books. If in February I choose, I probably should have waited on the binding and keeping 13 for February and then tried to put all the books there. But if I maybe put Saving 6 or whatever the next book is in that series, then in the below boxes, when I read 4, 5, and 6, they could go there. And if I read more Meg Lanslow, they can go there. But no other series books will go there. And so on and so forth until we get to December and the last series that I choose. So for me, each series will have each month will be a different series, but any continuations at all from any of the past or present series will be included down below. So I hope that makes sense. That is not how the series challenge designer is doing it. She is just doing the first book up top and then all other series books down below, I believe. I wish I could think of her name off the top of my head. Like coffee and something. I'm on my iPad now. So it is Amanda with the reading and writing something. No, of course it's not going to be right here. Coffee, cookies, and coffee, cookies, and books. That's the name of the designer. I am 95% sure. I could be wrong, but I'm 95% sure. So I will try to link to her specific video about this challenge, but I will for sure link to her channel down below. Next, we have up the Decade Reading Challenge from the Book Gals. I am not sure if the book is meant to be set in the specific time periods that are shown. So each decade from the 1880s through the 2010s is here. And then I'm doing a book written in that decade. That's how I'm choosing to interpret this, as opposed to a book set in that decade. Because, like, any book written in present about World War II could fit in the 1940s, but I want to read a book written in the 1940s. The only exception to that will be the one at the very end called Spanning Decades. So for me, I will read a book that spans decades. So like a saga or something. Maybe The Thornbirds. I believe that's a family saga that spans more decades. I need to complete one a month. I have completed 2 books already. So I am good up through February, which is really good because February will be a low reading month for me because I am heavily invested in watching the Olympics. So that will be a main time consumption for me. Is specifically curling. I am a big fan of curling and I don't know why. Okay, so next up we have a classics challenge. And my goal is basically I want to read 12 classics this year, so I would like to get one a month. That is part of where Anna Karenina fits in. So yeah. That's all I really have to say about that. I have not read any classics yet. So some of the classics I'd really like to read this year is Anna Karenina. I want to read The Count of Monte Cristo. And perhaps some Jane Austen. So we'll see what else comes across that I can enter into here. But yeah. Okay. Then we have Reading Around the USA 50 States Challenge. Additionally, aside from the 50, also was added Washington, D.C. and U.S. territories. So there's actually 52. I need to read at least 4 a month. Unfortunately, I am only at 4 so far this month. The problem with reading so much fantasy is that they don't take place in any country or state. And so, yeah, that's difficult when you need to read books set in the States. So for right now, my goal will just be the last week of each month. If I am not at the percentage I need to be at for that month, then I will try to fit in books. I am hoping that this will only become a real issue towards the last half of the year. As I have several things I'm heavily invested in during this first half of the year. We've got the Olympics in February. In June and July is the World Cup. And I, as a soccer fan, will be watching the World Cup. Hardly any book consumption will happen, which sucks because that's my summer break. So that should be when I get a lot of reading done, but I will be watching the World Cup. I will also be watching the Tour de France, but that is like 4 to 5 hours a day. And so the last half of July, I should have some more reading time before going back to school in August. So hopefully, and I also anticipate very little reading in December. For my craft channel, I do Vlogmas, and I watch a lot of channels Vlogmas situations. I've not actually watched any Bookmas. I'm gonna have to see if I can find some book related advent calendars to add to my crazy amount of advent calendars. But those are months where in general I do not get a lot of reading done. So I need to be heavy in those non-sports months and hopefully finish most of my challenges by November. So this one, I probably should call it 5 books a month to get ahead of schedule, but right now I'm at 4 and hoping maybe a couple of my other books for this month, but I don't know. A lot of them are not set in America. Ooh, okay. The Accidentally Wed to the Werewolf one is set in Alaska, so that will cross off Alaska. That will get me to 5 states, so okay. A little bit of hope. Next we have a Goodreads challenge for that I'm in called Unlock the TBR Gridlock. So in this challenge, you make a separate a separate bookshelf on Goodreads and put in books that you want to read in the year. And then you are only focusing on the first 30 books. And so each week a number is called, and whatever book fits that number, you read that book, and then you move that book onto a separate shelf called whatever you want to call it, and another book. So you always have to have 30 books there that are ones you haven't read yet. And so this game started in November. A few of the ones I have on here, like The Coven and The Cursed, I have read both of those books before. And the book on the TBR that was actually called was The Damned, but I do not remember the plot of The Coven or The Cursed, so I want to reread those. So I have all three of those on my Unlock the TBR grid, or TBR Gridlock. I can't remember the specific name. But this month I did read several of the three that were on that shelf. I did want to read more than that, but I just didn't manage to fit them all into my TBR for this month, including Deep Fried Death by Maddie Day. I had thought I could get that one in, but it's not looking like it right now. So, I still have The House of Salt and Sorrows that I need to read. The First to Lie, Reckless, and then one that was most recently called is 8 Perfect Deaths by Peter Swanson. And then the next drawing will be on the 24th. So I will find out then what the last book for the month is. Next up, we have Romanceopoly. This is actually the challenge that got me started on this whole challenges thing this year. Typically, I've not been a big romance reader. I just haven't. I don't know why. I've done more mystery and fantasy where there is some romance, but it wasn't like romantasy. I was reading fantasy like Brandon Sanderson. Until I read Fourth Wing, and that really just started me on romance. So I am participating in Romanceopoly. How Romanceopoly works, if you haven't heard about it, is there are 5 branches of study. Okay? So you've got your hang on, I'm going to go back so I can on my iPad so that I can zoom in. Okay. So you've got your dark psychology, which is your like dark romances. Then you have your historical studies, which is historical romances. Next, we have paranormal studies, which I have no interest in. Fantasy theory, which is your romanticities. And then romantic arts, which is more your like contemporary romances. Okay. So you have to take 5 core classes, which is 5 books that are kind of related to each of the branches. Everyone has to take 5 core classes. Then you need to pick a major. So one of the 5 branches of study. You then need to pick a minor. Oh, so each branch of study has 5 classes associated with it that are separate from the core curriculum. Then you have to pick a minor, So again, you still have to read 5, so it's kind of like a double major or whatever. Then you need 5 electives. So of the remaining 3 courses, you pick 5 classes from those 15. Each quarter, there are like sports events that have books associated with them. So right now we're in the winter one. Additionally, there are clubs that are kind of related to each of the different areas of study. And each club has 4 books, like 4. Each sporting event, so the seasonal one, has 4. Each club has 4. You're not required to participate in any of those. And then there are also, each month is a study session, which is 1 book. So kind of like a book club book. I had a lot of trouble picking majors and minors. So basically, I'm going to read all of the classes and do all of the clubs and all of the events except for the paranormal studies, because I don't like. I may end up through other things finding books that fit into there, but I do not like werewolves or mermaids or any of those things. The closest I get is vampires. And I do like vampires. Like Discovery of Witches is one of my favorite book series. Love that one so much. And that has witches, demons, and vampires. So it doesn't have werewolves, which is perfect. Highly recommend that series also. Anyways, so for January, my goal for Romanceopoly was to do the 5 core curriculum classes, the study session book, which is where Accidentally Wedded to a Werewolf came into play. That was the study session book. That's why I'm forcing myself to read it. And then also to do the winter quarter books. So even though I have 3 months to do those winter quarter books, I still need to fit in this quarter. I still want to fit in 1 or 2 clubs. So I needed to make sure that I'm taking care of things. I need to read about 10 books a month is what I think, if I've calculated right, to complete everything. So I've made pretty good progress on this so far. For the core curriculum, I have read 3 books. So I read Binding 13, The Prisoner's Throne, and Silver Elite. I still need to read The Kingmakers, for a book by an author you've never read. And honestly, I could fit, but it has to be a romance book. But I could fit several books there. But I already needed, yeah, anyways, so that's there. And then read a book that features a classic romance trope. I just put in Keeping 13 there because high school romance, that's a romance trope. That's a classic, right? So yeah, I put that there because I needed to fit Keeping 13 into places. I need to read Accidentally Wedded to a Werewolf for this month's study session, and I have done 2 of the 4 winter Frostbitten trial books. So I did Alchemized and I did The Senator. I still need to read the first 2 Zodiac Academy books that I put in there. The first one, the prompt for that one is read a paranormal romance where one character harbors a dangerous secret or a hidden power. And then the second one is read a fantasy romance set featuring a winter setting or ice magic. And I was looking at the story graphs. This is all in Storygraph. And the second Zodiac Academy book was on there for this. So is Alchemized, but I already put Alchemized. For a different one, although I could move it. I'm just probably won't. So to finish my goal for this month for Romanceopoly, which is one of my high priority challenges, I still need to complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. So we'll see. Some of that might have to carry over to January. Next, I am doing Year of Goober. So Goober, the ghost, is building a bakery. I believe is like a micro bakery is his ambition for this year. Each month there are 2 prompts. And you're supposed to pick one. I decided I didn't want to pick one. I want to do it all. And so I've put 2 bookshelves, and I'm putting one prompt on one bookshelf and the other prompt on the other bookshelf. And I completed this one quite easily. So, I don't remember what the prompts were, but for the first one, the sourdough prompt, excuse me, I read The Senator. For the banana bread prompt, I read The Prisoner's Throne, that last book in the duology. Next up, we have a challenge called Once Upon a Year. And I can't remember all the particulars about this challenge. I believe it's only 3 months for the first volume or something like that. I think it's broken down into quarters, and each month there's different prompts for that quarter, or not, actually. I don't remember. But my goal for January was to finish the chapter 1 core, which I have one more book, a mystery or thriller set during winter, and The Crash by Frida McFadden works for there. So I put that there. That's the last one I need to finish the core for chapter 1. There are side quests, like side stories, and these are not book like reading related. They're like little activities. So the first one was a New Year Chronicle, which was to like make a goal. And so I took the 26 and 26 image and I put that there. The second one, which I haven't done yet, is a book stack challenge where you need like 3 of something. I'm not good at taking like nice artistic looking pictures, so I haven't done that one yet, but I need to. And the last one is a gift that you wished you received as a child and you didn't. And for me, that was the Furby. I always wanted one of the Furbies, but we were really poor growing up and couldn't afford it, and so we never got a Furby. But that's something I remember wanting. Then there is a book, like a group read, and I think it's for all 3 months, so I don't think it has to be done in January, but I did put it as part of my January goal, and that is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. And so that's how that got onto my TBR. Next up, we have Craving for Cozies library challenge and reading challenge. And this is just basically cozy mysteries. And so I don't remember how many are exactly here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 20 cozy mysteries. So basically need to read at least 2 a month. I have read the 2 I needed to read for the month, and I did want to read Deep Fried Death, but that might have to wait till next month. Then we have my next big focus challenge for my TBR building, and that is Bridge 4's Discord channel. I have several challenges from there, and they're going to be some of the next upcoming ones we talk about. And this is their Journey Through the Stars. Journey Through the Stars challenge. Now, this one is only for 3 months. And part of what was so difficult about it was things had to be read in order. So, I started off with the training, and there are 5 books for the training, and you'll see them there. They had to be read in order. So that's where we got, and I have managed to finish all 5 of them. That's where we got The Secret Life of the Czars. I needed a nonfiction book. I managed to fit The Staircase in the Woods, my book club book in there, Confessions on the 745, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and The Silver Elite all fit onto there. Next, you're visiting planets. You're basically like a scientist off to explore the galaxy and the stars and like different planets. And so next we have the first set of planets that we encounter are on the volcano world. And so there are 3 planets or specimens. What is it? I don't know. Anyways, they have very specific prompts. There are 3 of them that you have to do for this planet. These 3 don't have to be read in a specific order, luckily, but you have to complete all 3 before you move on to the next set of planets. I think the route that I've taken has me reading 33 planets or 33 books in 3 months. That means I need to do 11 per month. I am not sure I'm going to get there this month. I've read 6. I need to, I was messing with this last night, and so I did manage to fit Keeping 13 into this set of planets, so I finished that one, and The Final Gambit. So those are going to be 2 priority reads for me. After that, I will look at the next set of planets. I have not pre-planned them yet. I have not even looked that far, but I do need to complete those next set of planets and even the hopes to stay ahead of the game. I should complete, that would put me at 10. I should start the next set of planets, the planet Silvarium, and do at least one of those. That is a stretch goal. I hope by the end of this week to have finished Planet Volcanus and to have planned Planet Sinus, and hope that the books on my TBR will fit there that I have remaining. I'm just not ready to look yet. So we will see. Next up, my next Bridge 4 challenge is called FourPlay. And that's FOUR play. So it's basically like a bingo board. And each month, so you can see here the bingo board. Each month, 5 of the numbers are called. And they all have prompts associated with them. So, excuse me. I believe this is all space themed. Space is their big theme for this year. And so I think all their challenges, or the majority of them, are space themed. But I've only completed 2 of the 3 prompts. And the books that I have left, the 3 that I have left, are not my high priorities for the rest of this month. So we have Deception Point, because I needed a book published in 2001. The oldest book on your TBR, and that is Anna Karenina. It might not be the oldest on my Goodreads TBR, but I fibbed in high school and in high school in my lit classes, we had to read 1,000 pages of classic literature a quarter, which is 4,000 a year, which might not seem a lot, or maybe it does, but I was heavily involved in school activities in high school. I did theater. I kept the stats for the boys and girls basketball teams. I had youth group on Wednesdays. I was pretty social. It was a very small school. Like, my graduating class was 28. So very small school. Everyone was very social. And when I claimed I read Anna Karenina, I was also in the boarding facility, which had a very strict lights out in bed by 10 p.m., which, when you were taking high-level classes and doing other socials, was very difficult. So I lied and said I read Anna Karenina because it was over 1,000 pages. And foolishly, it was my teacher's favorite book, and I knew that at the time. And so I read the majority of it. I just wasn't able to finish it. And this is back before audiobooks and much of any of that. We're talking about like 2004, 2005. And so this has been on my TBR for a long time because I've always wanted to rectify this lie. And so that's why that's there. The Count of Monte Cristo is a very similar situation. I think I had like less than 10 chapters left when the end of the quarter was there and I had to claim that I had finished it. And then we were off on a new set of 1,000 pages and I just was not able to come back and finish the fib. So, those are part of why those are two classics on my list for this year that I just want to correct that wrong. So anyways, and then a book that Kubrick adapted or wanted to adapt into a movie or a hard science fiction. That's where Flowers in the Attic came in, mainly because The Shining and other books like that, I hadn't read any of the books, but they had enormously long wait lists, and even though this is still on the wait list and I'm not sure it'll come through in January, it had the shortest at like 6 weeks, so I'm hoping it will come through early, but we'll see. I don't know. Okay, so continuing on, our next Bridge 4 challenge is called Starbridge. And this is the daisy chain one, where each month is a different planet, or the sun, the moon, the Milky Way. Each month is a different one. We're at Mercury right now. So, hang on, I'm going to flip to my pictures here because I did move the pictures off the prompts to show you guys. So we'll start there. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. This should be a little bit more organized, but it is what it is, right? Okay, so we're starting with a book with a hot setting. And this is where I put The Senator by Laurie Kent. Because it's set in Texas and they talk about the hot temperature a lot in this book. Next, the next book you needed to read was Shares a Trope with book number 1. And so the trope I'm saying it shares is mafia. And that's how I got Kingmakers and why it needs to be read. After that, book number 3 has an antonym from book number 2 in the title. This was a problem because Kingmakers clearly only has 2 words in it, king and makers. I did Google this, and apparently queen is an antonym of king. That's what Google says. I thought maybe subject but I didn't have books with that word anyways. So this is where Catherine of Aragon, the true queen, comes in place. After that, book number 4 must be the debut novel from the author of book number 3. That's where we get Innocent Traitor by Alison Ware, and I was so thankful I already had that on Audible, and I haven't read it yet. I have read Catherine of Aragon, but it's been a while, and that's another series I need to complete. And from there, book number 5 must be plus or minus 20 pages from book number 4. And actually, Innocent Trader is like 402 pages, somewhere around there. And I had hundreds of books that were within 20 pages of that. So I had a lot of choice. And luckily, everyone in my family has killed someone was one of those books. And that book is featured in several challenges. But to get to the point where I can read it, I need to complete this daisy chain in order. And I must finish the Kingmaker's book. And I am, oh boy. I am on page 24, and there are 404 pages. So I need to spend some time actually reading that book. Okay, so continuing along, next we have up the 52 Book Club Challenge. I need to read about 4 books a month for this one. Right now, I have managed to, did I manage to fit all 12 into here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12. Yes, I've so far managed to fit all 12. So I am good through March. And I will continue to try to fit books in there as I read them. So this is one I'm not going to focus on or worry about until later in the year when there's a few more difficult tasks that I haven't been able to finish. Then we have up a challenge called, and this is another Bridge 4 Books challenge, and it is called We Have a Serie-ous Problem Reading Challenge. And basically you do points and it's trying to encourage you to finish series. So and I'm doing this a hard mode. And so every book you read that is let me just pull up this spreadsheet really quick. Every book that you read that is like the first in a series is -2 points. Where is it? Journey Through the Stars. Serious problem. Hard. Okay. So, yeah. So the first book in a series is -1 point. The final book in a series, like completes the series, is 5 points. So +5. A sequel in the series is 1 point. And the first book and caught up is a +1. So, and then let me see what caught up in series is a +3. Okay. So right now, with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books entered for this challenge, I am at +2 points. And part of the reason for that is because 3 of those 4 books have been first in the series, -2. So, The Prisoner's Throne, the duology book, that got me a +5. Because that's the last one. It completed the series. The series is all the way done. So, yeah. Even though I hated that book, it kept me in the positive. It got me to the positives. So, that's what that challenge is. It's not a lot of maintenance, no planning involved at all for it. Just, as I finish a book that's in a series, I just enter it into the spreadsheet that I have. They they have a spreadsheet that tracks like all of their challenges, and so that's what I'm using, as well as this Canva page where I just put the pictures in. And I made another one. I duplicated it because I will probably read more than 12 books that are in series before this month is out. Next up, we have a Stardew Valley challenge. I am not entirely sure about what's going on with this challenge. But for spring, there are 4 challenges, like prompts, and I have completed 3 of them. The last book that I have on here is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is a book that Keeping 13 replaced a lot of, because I'm now remembering that now that I see that. I was able to fit Keeping 13 into a lot of the challenges where I had previously put Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So this is still high on my TBR list, but it'll probably be moved to February. Next spreadsheet that I do have here is for Beat the Backlist. I've not actually put any books on this spreadsheet. I'm not on this bingo board yet, and I am debating if I am going to do this. Sometimes when there's like a lot of prompt options and things, I get overwhelmed, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with this one. The final one, well, there's 2 final ones. The Reader's Gauntlet. This will be a separate video where I talk about this, because this is a bingo board of challenges. And right now I'm just putting books into challenges. There will probably be at least 150 books that will need to be read for the Reader's Gauntlet. It has different challenges like Series Staircase, Alphabet Challenge, Library Challenge, New to You Authors, a Scavenger Hunt, a Trope Tracker, New Release Radar, so every month a new release from that month, Pretty Cover Challenge, Bingeable Books, Intimidation, Shelf Trophy, Spinner Wheel. A lot of these challenges are based off of the ones from Herkiad. I looked at Herkiad, and I even downloaded the Canva things for it. I ultimately decided not to go with it because it was very restrictive and strict, and like you're not allowed to do rereads or things like that, and I just found myself stressed out by it. The Reader's Gauntlet takes some of those challenges, not all of them, but some of them, and other challenges, and made it a lot more manageable, workable, forgivable. There's nothing about rereads. You're allowed to do rereads, and things like that. So I will be doing the Reader's Gauntlet, and I will again focus more towards the end of the year on trying to get books that don't necessarily like haven't been fit. I do need to read at least 12 to 15 books a month for this. I'm at 12 right now. All 12 have fit. It will be harder later on. Some of the challenges are things like participate in another readathon, play a TBR game. And so those kind of things might involve more books or less books than what I've put on here. So on my tracker, I put 150 books, but that's a plus or minus. Like it might be a little, because I did like round up from where I had counted the books, and so it could be plus or minus a little bit. My final challenge is Spread Those Pages challenge by sorry, I need to really zoom in on this name. Smashes. Shmashes. This is a romance one, and I think I found this one on not Pagebound, Storygraph. And how many prompts are there? 50. So each month I need to do about 4. Right now I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will be harder later. But some of these prompts aren't ones I really know that I will know before reading the book. Like, has a fat MC, main character. I don't necessarily know. Has an epilogue, no pregnancies allowed. I will not know that one beforehand. So these are ones I'll just fit in, and then I will worry about the end when it's closer to the end of the year. So those are my reading challenges for 2026 and my January TBR. Sorry this was so long. I hope you enjoyed and that you'll join me for more future plans. When I do February's, I don't anticipate it being this long. I will be going over the Canva spreadsheet again, though, and talking about books fitting in the challenge. I anticipate making this, the one for February. I will probably start planning that this weekend and film it towards the end of next week. Just looking at the calendar really quick. So if you guys have any other challenges I should be doing, or you want to join in any of these challenges, let me know. I would love to have that. To do challenges with other people, particularly the Reader's Gauntlet one. That one sounds like a lot of fun, and I would love for more people to be doing that, because when I looked up the Reader's Gauntlet on I think it's Bay's Reads. That's the creator of the Reader's Gauntlet. There's only like 1 or 2 videos with the Reader's Gauntlet. So I hope more people will do it. And yeah, I'd love for other people to talk about it. I think it sounds really fun. So that's all I have. I'm gonna go now. I'll talk to y'all later and hope that you have a fantastic reading day. Bye.